Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time finally doing the review on Sonic the Hedgehog issue number 50. Now, we're pretty much now at the milestone of the Sonic IDW comic series that I have been covering since the lockdowns in England, as well as now that the lockdowns have eased up, been able to pick up my issues of Sonic the Hedgehog now, and we're now up to the milestone. And the cover mainly has Dr. Starline, Surge, and Kitsumi in action. And the story starts off with Sonic and the others running to Eggman's control base, and they wonder why Eggman has made a big deal with summoning so many badniks, but Sonic knows that Eggman likes a presentation, but at the same time they know something's wrong. So after going in, we see how Starline is saying, like clockwork, send work to Surge and Kitsumi immediately. And he's finally pleased with all the accomplishments he's gotten now, but we see how Eggman shows up saying, "Excuse me, Doctor, you're in my seat," and of course throws in his giant sword, and we see how Starline tries to use his light gloves abilities, and of course tries to smash down Eggman's attack bot. And we see how Sonic and Bell are now at top of one of the towers, and they wonder why Eggman's attacking his own city, but they know something's going on. We see how Bell tries to save Metal, but then we see how Sonic ends up meeting Surge, and how Tails ends up going to meet Kitsumi. And we see how Tails is wrapped up by Kitsumi's water pack, and of course we see how Tails tries to talk with him, but of course we see how Kitsumi tries to use his abilities on him. We see how basically Surge brings Sonic up into one of the rubble towers and says, "I'm sorry, have we met? I'll start. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog." "Ho ho ho, I know who you are. It's all I know, really. And that's the problem." And we see how he calls out Sonic for every poor decision he's made, and point out everything that's gone wrong over the last few years. And we see how Sonic says, "Maybe I spoke too fast. Let me try again. Hi, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, and you are?" Yeah, okay, I'm Surge the Titanic." And we see how they basically try to rival their speed. And we see how Sonic has to use his speed along with Surge, throwing every punch, hit, and that they have. And we see how Eggman tries to look for Starline, and we see how he figures that Eggman must have had something in the armory, and that he tries to find where the location is. And of course, we see how after trying to break through, Starline comes out with one of Eggman's robots, which he's piloting in a Gundam-like style, and saying, "Doctor, please, for once in your life, just stop and listen. My plan will work, and then the world will be yours." "I don't share." And of course, we see how they both try to dupe it out, and we see how Eggman points out that he's nothing like him, and we see how Bell tries to repair Metal Sonic, and just as he comes back online, he manages to take down one of the rogue robots, and realise that since they're both badniks, he can trust her, and decide to find Eggman. And we see how Tails tries to talk with Kitsumi, and how he likes his water pack, and says, "It's not mine." And we see how he tries to calm him down, and offers to get him help in that, and says, "I don't need any friends." And we see how he manages to try and calm him down, try to smooth talk him, and after trying to offer him help along with Sonic, as well as Starline, saying, "I hate him!" And of course, after calming down and saying about finding Sonic, he says, "No! Surge has to destroy Sonic. It's all she wants. I won't let you stop him. And of course, we see how both of them still try to dupe it out, to little to no effect. And we see how Sonic even says that he's having so much fun, but we see how Surge sees this more as a matter of a life and death. And pretty much knows that most of the enemies he's fought in aren't really evil, and about the whole destroying the world stick. And we see how Surge tries to take on Sonic, and Sonic saying, I appreciate that. Really, I do. And we see how he tries to calm her down, but we see how Surge is too far gone to even listen to reason, and even blames him for everything that's happened to her, and everyone who abandoned her, and not really helped her when Starline kidnapped her. And we see Sonic saying, well, we'll do it your way. And we see how Surge says, yeah, give me that freedom. Do as I please, no regrets. Nope, nope. And we see how basically they still try to dupe it out. We see how Starline says, I'm doing this for you, when piloting his mech. And we see how Eggman tries to get Starline an advantage. But we see how he decides to use his special glove and use one of the moves from Sonic Heroes that destroys the robot. But of course, it turns out Eggman played him all along, as he wanted to power down the glove and bring out him with his defenses open, and knew what he was saying, but kept him around to kind of have intel. And even Starline's shocked and even amazed that Eggman listened to everything he said, and says, no, this isn't fair, you've never shown this such foresight. And we see how Eggman even points out that he learns from his mistakes, and at least can learn and make from them. And we see how Starline takes this personally, but we see how he's beaten to a pulp by Eggman, and we see how Belle talks with Eggman, saying how she's basically read the letter, and saying that it's goodbye. And even Eggman's impressed with Belle fixing metal, but after being offered a position, she refuses, and says, very well, be seeing you, Belle. And of course, we see how everything comes tumbling down, Starline letting his failures get the better of him, and being crushed to his presumed death. And of course, we see how things start crumbling down, and Kitsumi's pack slowly starting to lose water, which ends up with him being defeated. And we see how Surge and Sonic are still duking it out. But we see how basically Surge almost ends up nearly falling to her death. But we see how Surge says, got the last hit. And of course, things come crumbling down on her, which leads to her presumed death. And we kind of see how Sonic and the others find out who Kitsumi is, and Sonic talks about Surge. And we see how Belle points out that she's managed to shut things down, as well as pointing out that about Starline, and they need to look for Starline. But we see how Belle points out that Starline died, but we see how Eggman gets their attention and points out he's got a welcoming party full of badniks, which is going to lead up to issue 51. And yeah, this is the story. I think issue 50 works, because I think there's a difference between Starline and Surge's downfalls, because Surge was more hot-headed, temperamental, and was just wanting to destroy Sonic, while Starline let his ego, determinations, and ambitions get the better of him. And it's obviously they're not going to die, they're going to come back in a future issue. So I think this one still deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.